I emigrated with my family from Poland in 1959 and really couldn't return till 1977. And so there was a very long gap, very long lacuna, in which I really lost my Polish to a large extent. I started writing in English right away because I understood that I needed to shift into English, that Polish was, not going to be my language anymore. My relationship to the Polish language, was sort of important and strong and very potent. And I wanted to reconstruct that in English. In other words, I didn't want to live between languages, or I didn't want to live in a language which was going to be, merely instrumental. I wanted English to inhabit me the way that Polish had. And so, in a sense, this was one of the kind of major undertakings of my life. I do remember the moment at which my sisters and my own names were kind of, summarily and very peremptorily changed. Mine from Eva to Eva, and my sisters from Alina to Elaine. My sense that I was becoming a kind of stranger to myself, and that this name wasn't really me, and that my identity was somehow being, suppressed or taken away from me, was very powerful at that moment. Alexander Watt, who was an interwar modernist poet and a most interesting personality, was asked at some point whether he feels himself to be Polish or Jewish. And he said, I'm Polish, and Jewish. And I guess I feel the same, that both are sort of equally important and strong. And and both have been part of me from the beginning. And there have been strains of religious anti-Semitism, there have been strains of hostility, but it is not the whole story in the war as well and during the Holocaust. There was a whole spectrum of behavior. And Poland was the place where it was most dangerous to help Jews and to rescue Jewish people. And yet there were institutional efforts at rescue, and there were many Poles who did rescue, Jewish people heroically. To some extent, I can say that, I feel European, but I certainly do feel a Londoner, and perhaps that is the primary sense of myself. My kind of, semi-jocular formulation is that London is my midway point between Manhattan and Krakow. And particularly, sort of the Swiss Cottage, West Hampstead area where I live, I think is, the exact midway point between Manhattan and Krakow.